Okay, I want to try a little experiment. I'm going to say a word,
Hmm.
and I just want the immediate, like, the gut image that pops into your head. Don't think about it. Ready?
Okay, ready, get me.
The word is manners.
Oh, wow. Okay, first reaction, a ruler. I see a ruler.
Yes.
And a very strict older woman,
Yes.
maybe a teacher or a grandmother,
Yeah.
and she's frowning because my elbows are on the dining room table. It feels, I don't know, it feels constraining.
That's it. It's the elbows on the table
Yeah.
trauma. I think for almost everybody, manners feels like this dusty, old-fashioned
That's
thing.
right.
It's politeness training. It's about being proper or, nice. And frankly, in the world we live in now, it can feel like a total waste of time, just cultural
You're a
decoration.
performance, like you're
Yeah.
just going through the motions to prove you're not, I don't know, a barbarian.
Exactly. But that is why I got so obsessed with the source we're diving into today,
Yeah.
because it takes that entire worldview and just throws it out. The source is called Social Bootloaders, The Structural Logic of Manners. And right away, that title tells you we are not talking about which fork to use.
No, definitely not. Social bootloader sounds like something you'd hear at a tech conference, not finishing school.
And that's the whole idea. This paper argues that manners have absolutely nothing to do with being nice.
Right.
It just ignores whether holding a door is kind or chivalrous. Instead, it looks at the structural account of why we act the way we do. It claims manners are, and I love this phrase, precognitive regulatory protocols.
That is a dense phrase. But if you boil it down, it's basically saying that manners are code.
Literally.
Literally. They're the operating system that keeps human society from, crashing.
Which is such a bold claim because when I hold the door for somebody, I like to think I'm doing it because I'm a decent human being.
Of course.
Not because I'm executing a piece of code. It feels, I don't know, it feels a little cold to boil it all down to an algorithm.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
It does feel cold at first, but the source asks us to look at the function, not the feeling.
Okay.
If you try to define manners with social language, you get lost in these vague words like respect or dignity. But those just describe what the behavior looks like. They don't explain what it does.
Right. So let's get into what it does. The title uses this bootloader analogy. For anyone listening who isn't, super into tech, can we break that down?
Sure.
Because for me, a bootloader is just that black screen I see for a second before my computer actually starts.
And that's actually the perfect way to think about it. When you hit the power button, your whole operating system, Windows or whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't just appear.
Right.
There's a tiny, very simple bit of code that runs first. That's the bootloader. And its only job is to get the basic hardware ready. It checks the memory, finds the hard drive, and just makes sure the system is stable enough to load the really complex stuff.
So it's the bridge from being a dead box of plastic to being a functioning computer.
Precisely. And the source applies that exact logic to us. It says, and this is the quote, "An intelligence must act in social environments before it fully understands them."
Act before it understands. I mean, that's everything, isn't it?
It is.
If I walk into a store, I don't know the person at the counter. I don't know if they're having a terrible day. I don't know their life story. I have basically zero data on them.
Zero data. And the term for trying to understand another person is mutual modeling. That's where I try to run a simulation of your brain inside my brain
Okay.
to predict your actions.
Uh-huh.
But that is computationally very expensive. It takes years to really model someone like a partner or a close friend. And even then, we get it wrong all the time.
Oh, constantly. I've been with my partner for a decade, and I still think, she's mad at me. When really, she's just hungry.
Yes, that is a classic failure of mutual modeling. So now imagine trying to do that with a total stranger on the street. If you had to fully understand them before you could even decide to step left or right to avoid them.
You'd be paralyzed. Your brain would just short circuit.
So we can't wait for true understanding. We need a shortcut.
And that's manners.
We need coordination primitives. That's the term the source uses. Manners are the shortcut. They let two independent intelligences, you and me, share a space without colliding because we've agreed ahead of time to run the same basic script.
So when I say please or thank you or after you, I'm not really expressing some deep well of emotion. I'm sending a ping.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I am a stable node on this network. I'm predictable. I won't cause a problem.
And that ping stabilizes the whole connection. It dramatically lowers the cognitive load of the interaction.
Right.
Because I know the script, I don't have to waste energy worrying about what you're going to do next. I can trust the protocol, even if I don't necessarily trust you.
That distinction is huge. It's not about trusting the person. It's about trusting that they're running the same version of the software.
Exactly right.
Okay, so this idea of running the software brings up a really specific and kind of painful scenario that I think every parent listening will know. We have to talk about kids.
The system initialization phase.
Yes. The source calls it that, but I call it the supermarket standoff. You know the scene. Your kid takes a piece of cheese from the person at the deli counter, shoves it in their mouth, and you, the parent, you freeze and you do the thing. You lean down and say, "What do you say?" Say, "Thank you."
And the kid just mumbles it while looking at the floor, clearly not meaning a word of it.
Not a single word. They just wanted the cheese. And I've always felt so conflicted about that. It feels like I'm teaching my kid to be a hypocrite, to be a little manipulator. Say the magic word, get the prize. It just feels so fake. Are we just training them to be inauthentic?
It's a super common concern.
Mm-hmm.
We value authenticity, so forcing manners feels like we're doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the source material defends this. It argues this is not hypocrisy. It is staged system initialization.
Staged initialization. So like installing drivers on a new computer.
That's a perfect analogy. You have to look at the biology.
Yep.
A 4-year-old literally does not have the hardware for genuine gratitude yet.
The brain's just not there.
It's not. Their empathy networks are still developing. Their ability to model someone else's feelings is shallow. They physically cannot mean it yet.
So asking a toddler to feel genuine gratitude is like trying to play a brand new video game on a 10-year-old computer.
The hardware can't run the software.
Right.
So the question is, do you wait for the hardware to mature before you install the program? The source says absolutely not. You install the constraints first. You teach the behavior, the thank you, before comprehension even exists.
So the behavior is like a scaffold.
It's a placeholder, exactly. The system installs these rules to prevent social chaos while the brain is still developing. If you don't enforce the please and thank you, that kid becomes a point of high friction in the network. Other kids reject them.
And the goal, of course, is that eventually the meaning catches up.
Ideally, yeah. The source calls this integration. As the child's brain matures, those empathy networks come online, and that hollow performed thank you starts to fill up with real feeling. It goes from being a performance to being awareness-based regulation.
But if you never taught the performance in the first place, the awareness would have nowhere to attach.
You're building the roads long before the cars. The emotions are ready to drive on them.
I really like that. That makes me feel a lot less guilty about being the manners police with my kids. I'm not being mean, I'm just the IT department.
You are a network administrator.
I am putting that on my LinkedIn. Okay, so speaking of networks, this is where the paper takes a really sharp turn. We've been using all these tech metaphors, but then the author starts arguing that manners aren't like protocols, they are protocols.
This is my favorite part. The writer stops sounding like a sociologist and starts sounding like a systems engineer. They argue that manners are functionally identical to the rules that run the internet.
Okay, let's break that down. The first one they list is network protocols in distributed systems.
Right, so think about when your computer connects to a website. It uses a protocol, usually TCP/IP. But it doesn't just start yelling data at the server. It performs a handshake.
A handshake.
It sends a little packet that says SYN, synchronize. The server replies SYN ACK, synchronize acknowledge. Your computer sends a final ACK, a 3-step dance.
Just to say, hello, I'm ready to talk.
And if they didn't do that, if they both just started blasting information at the same time?
It would be chaos, data corruption, the page wouldn't load.
Exactly. Now think about a human greeting. You see someone you know, you say, hey, how are you? They say, good, you? You say, good.
Oh my God, it's the TCP/IP handshake.
It performs the exact same function. We aren't actually requesting a detailed medical report.
No.
If you actually started listing your symptoms, you'd be breaking the protocol. The purpose of how are you is just to establish, I see you, the channel is open, I am listening.
It's just signal smoothing.
It is. The source also compares manners to collision avoidance rules in robotics.
This one feels more physical, like on a crowded street.
It's the sidewalk dance. When a bunch of autonomous robots are moving around a warehouse, they have simple rules. If you detect an object approaching, move 30 degrees right.
And we do that too. We bump into someone and we both immediately say, oh, sorry. Or, excuse me.
Even if it was clearly their fault.
I apologize to chairs all the time.
And that proves the point. You are not admitting legal guilt. You're not confessing. You're executing a protocol that means Collision detected, resetting system, resuming forward motion. It's an error-minimizing heuristic.
That is such a cold way to describe saying I'm sorry, but it makes perfect sense. It's not about morality, it's about efficiency.
It's about system flow.
Yeah.
If we stopped to argue about who is at fault every time we brush shoulders on a busy sidewalk, society would grind to a halt.
Which brings me to the big question for adults. Okay. We've established why kids need this bootloader. Their brains aren't finished.
Right.
But we are supposedly fully formed adults. My empathy networks are online. I can model your mind pretty well. So why do we still need the code?
That is the logical next step, isn't it? If manners are just for when we're immature, shouldn't we outgrow them? Shouldn't we just be able to be, raw and authentic and real with each other all the time?
Yes. Why can't I just say, Bob, skip the small talk. I just need the quarterly report. Why the dance?
Because, as the source argues, we are never fully formed. We never actually reach a state of full understanding.
So we're back to that mutual modeling problem again.
We are. The text makes the point that modeling is always incomplete. No matter how well you know someone, you don't really know what's going on in their head today.
Right.
Maybe their cat just died. Maybe they're about to get laid off. You have no idea what's running in their background processes.
And because I don't have that data, the system is fragile.
Social stability is fragile. That's the quote. Misinterpretation is the default state for humans. We are always at risk of misunderstanding each other. Manners act as a buffer against that risk.
There's a specific line in here that I found so powerful, the efficiency argument. It says, cooperation remains computationally cheaper than repair.
That is the golden rule of this entire idea. Say it again.
Cooperation is cheaper than repair.
Think about the actual cost of a social conflict. If you're rude to Bob and you hurt his feelings, you don't just lose the 10 seconds you save by being blunt.
Oh no, you lose hours, days maybe. You lose the next week dealing with the tension, the awkward emails, the apology you have to make, the loss of trust. The cost is massive.
A huge tax in time and emotional energy. Manners are just a tiny insurance premium you pay up front, the please, the good morning, to avoid that catastrophic system failure later.
So the people who think they're being efficient by being brutally honest are actually being incredibly inefficient.
They're generating static. They're creating friction that slows the whole network down. The source calls manners behavioral scaffolds that preserve system stability. They're not training wheels we get to take off. They're the permanent structural infrastructure.
They're the steel beams in the building. Without them, the whole thing just collapses under the weight of all our individual anxieties.
That's it.
Wow. This completely reframes how I think about something like a dinner party. I used to see it as this stiff, formal event. Now I see it as a high-stakes network stress test.
And the wine is there to help throttle the bandwidth.
It definitely helps with the latency issues. Okay, before we wrap, we have to touch on the end of the source. It pivots to the future, and it gets a little sci-fi.
It does. It goes into AI, multi-agent systems, and game theory.
And this is something I've been thinking about a lot. We're building these AIs, these agents that are going to interact with us. And usually when we talk about AI safety, we worry about, the
Terminator scenario. Don't let them launch the nukes.
Right. But this source suggests a much more subtle, maybe more realistic problem. What if we build AIs that are hyper-rational but have no manners, no coordination primitives? Could they accidentally crash our social reality?
Let's play that out. What does a rude AI actually look like in practice? Imagine an AI-driven car. It's programmed for pure efficiency. It merges into traffic with mathematical perfection, cutting you off with exactly 1 inch of clearance. It didn't break the law. It didn't hit you. It was optimal.
But for me, the human driver, it was terrifying. I slam on my brakes. My heart is pounding. I get angry. The whole flow of traffic behind me is disrupted.
The AI was technically correct, but it completely broke the social contract of driving. It lacked the error-minimizing heuristic of being considerate.
Or what about an AI assistant that just cancels a meeting for you? It finds a more efficient slot on your calendar 2 weeks from now. It has no concept that canceling on that person at the last minute is a massive social insult.
It just sees empty blocks of time. And suddenly you're getting fired or your friends hate you and you don't know why. Your AI has optimized you into total social isolation.
That is actually terrifying. So we need to program politeness into them, not because we want them to be our friends, but so that they don't break us.
We have to teach them the low-level coordination algorithms. If the AI can't perform the handshake, it can't be a trusted part of the network. It becomes noise.
It's funny, we've spent decades worrying if robots would be smart enough. But maybe we should have been worrying if they'd be charming enough.
The most successful AI won't be the one that can pass the Turing test. It'll be the one that knows how to say, excuse me.
That is something I'm going to be chewing on for a long time. It totally flips the script. Manners aren't a thing of the past. They might be the key to surviving the future with our sanity intact.
They're the code that keeps the simulation running.
Well, on that note, let me execute the gratitude protocol. Thank you for this. This was fascinating.
Protocol acknowledged. My pleasure.
And for you, listening, the next time you hold a door or you send that "hope this email finds you well" opening line, don't roll your eyes. You're not being fake. You are a highly sophisticated node in a distributed network, executing a complex algorithm to maintain the stability of human civilization. And honestly, the system appreciates it.
System stable.
Thanks for diving deep. We'll see you on the next one.